Welcome, beautiful multi-dimensional humans. I'm RidersDX, and today we're going to talk about possible characters that really should be in MultiVersus, but we're not going to talk about what characters I want to see. We're actually going to talk about characters that you want to see. And so, about a month ago, I posted this community post on YouTube and on Twitter asking you folks what you want to see in MultiVersus. I snapshot 20 of those requests, and we're going to go through them and talk about the possibilities of these characters getting into the game, and also what they could bring to the table. And at the end of all this, I'm actually going to send this over to Tony, so hopefully Tony takes a look at this and responds in any way. Kind of hoping for some interesting comments here and there, so stay tuned for the next edition of this video because I think I'm going to do this again. This is really fun, so there definitely will be one if Tony actually does respond to this video and maybe give us a spark of hope that some of these will actually come to the game. So let's go ahead and dive into this list. Number one we have over here is from Duckburg, and they said, I would absolutely love it if WoW-E Coyote made it in this game. There's just so much stuff you could do for his moveset. They cannot pass it off. WoW-E Coyote would be an amazing character to have in this game. Since he's such a trap wizard and such, maybe not to his own benefit, but he does do a lot of traps. I can definitely imagine him being another mage kind of character. I think it'd have to be done in a way that a lot of his traps would kind of have to almost kill him, but at the same time, obviously it would have to kill the other players actually. And so it could be kind of like a Tom and Jerry kind of situation where he's not exactly trying to attack everyone. He's more so just trying to set traps for the Roadrunner. So we'll just have to see how they would pull that off. But I definitely think WoW-E Coyote would be a really high possibility. Since they already have a couple Looney Tunes characters in here, I feel like that definitely is not off the table. Number two we have over here from JJ. We gotta have all of the Titans. Ugh, this would be such an amazing thing to me. I love the Teen Titans, and they're honestly one of my favorite DC superheroes of all time. You know, they beat out people like Superman and Wonder Woman for me. They're just amazing. I love the TV show so much. Desperately wanted to come back, but I don't know, maybe one day. Now, in terms of all five of them getting into the game, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, unfortunately, just because there's 5 people, and 5 people from a single series is a little bit much to ask at this point. But depending on how far MultiVersus goes, we could eventually see it, so you never know. I definitely think we can at least expect Robin and maybe Raven in future updates because they are definitely the most popular characters. But yeah, it would be awesome if we get all 5 characters in here one day. Anime Link says, I just want Ed and Eddie in this game and that's it. Oh, Ed, and Eddie. What an iconic trio of characters that definitely needs to be in this game. It's one of the best Cartoon Network shows of all time, and it'd just be such a crime for them to not be in this game. And so I definitely think that you could either make it so that they're all separate characters, or you can have them work together. I'm not really sure which one I prefer. I honestly don't care either way, to be honest. I definitely can see Ed being his own character. He could definitely be quite a bruiser, but at the same time, I think it'd be really cool to have Ed and Eddie together and maybe make them some kind of experimental / support kind of character, or maybe a mage kind of character. I don't know, they could be so many things. They definitely could be a really interesting character, separate or together. Apex says, honestly, anyone from the Marvel universe, but especially Iron Man, so we can see the battle of the rich, Batman versus Iron Man. Iron Man would be a really interesting character. Third-party characters are definitely a little bit tougher to predict whether or not they'll make into the game, just because a lot more licensing has to do with getting characters into these games, but definitely not outside the realm. I mean, look at Fortnite. Fortnite has all these different characters from all these different franchises. It definitely is a possibility. And if MultiVersus turns out to be the big juggernaut that it's pretty much shaping up to be, I definitely can see it happening. The only reason that this would not happen is if Disney was playing their own platform fighter, but I kind of doubt that that's going to happen, but we'll just have to see. Nostalgia Lodian says, I would love to see the Flintstones be a part of this amazing game. The Flintstones is definitely an iconic franchise and definitely needs some kind of representation in this game. I kind of doubt we get more than just Fred Flintstone, to be honest, but Fred Flintstone is still Fred Flintstone, so that'd be really cool and definitely would be one of the more cartoony characters that I would love to see in this game. Joey Misfit says, these legends. Someone needs to show that rich boy from Gotham that crime fighting can be fun. And then we got a picture of Blue Falcon and Dynamite here. These two are definitely really awesome characters. I would love to see them in here. I think they're just criminally underrated just because they look so similar to other characters within the DC universe. But I don't know, if they can't be in the game as their own characters, I can totally see them being variants for other characters. So Captain Falcon, maybe he could be a variant for Superman perhaps, and Dynamite, if Scooby-Doo does make it into the game, then Dynamite can be a variant for Scooby-Doo. So that's something that you could see happening. But at the same time, obviously both of these characters have their own special moves and such, and so maybe being a variant is not like the best thing for them, so we'll just have to see. But I definitely would love to see these two in the game. Astronaut says, I feel like no one talks about this character, but I think Ice Bear from We Bare Bears would be a perfect choice, but he is probably not going to make it, so the safe option is Marvin the Martian. Ice Bear, I'm actually not too familiar with We Bare Bears, to be honest, but I know it's a popular show on Cartoon Network currently, and I think they have two shows, right? There's one with the grown-up versions of the characters and one with the baby versions, and so definitely seems like a show that would warrant some representation. I mean, we've seen a bunch of like modern Cartoon Network shows make into this game, so definitely could see it happening. Marvin the Martian is definitely much more likely though. I think Marvin's definitely going to get into this game. Next up we got Emmett and Lucy, and they're talking about Emmett himself from the Lego movie. And so I've actually not seen the Lego movie, so I don't know much about Emmett's personality, but Emmett seems like a kind of like perfect like beginner's character. So maybe he could be like, I don't know, an assassin or whatever he would be most likely to be, judging from the movie. But it definitely seems like a character that I think I'd make like a little easier for players to jump into, and it definitely would be a nice character to balance out against some of the more like polarizing personalities on this roster, because there's definitely a lot more characters on here that really have like a strong striking personality, and Emmett would just be like, hey, I'm here. So it would be a nice way to balance out the roster. We got Soshi the Yoshi, and they're saying, I know he will never make it in, but I kind of want to see Hanna-Barbera's depiction of Pac-Man in the game. So I actually had no idea that Hanna-Barbera made their own Pac-Man until this very post, and so I took a look at it and it looks pretty wild actually. So I think that'd be such a surprising but really cool choice to have in here. I think Pac-Man in general is just such an iconic character, but having a slightly different variation of him in here compared to Smash Bros would be really interesting. So I kind of don't think it's likely to happen either, but it would be really cool nonetheless. And then of course we have over here Walter White from MultiVersus, and so they obviously want Walter White in here. They even have like a really nice picture depicting what he might look like in the game. I think Walter is just such a legendary character in all of like TV show history. It would just be such a treat to have him in this game, because honestly he's really iconic, and I definitely can imagine him being like a really fun mage kind of character to play, you know, just seeing like all the different like things you could do with like his chemicals and such, and also him just being like a really ruthless person overall would be really great to see in a game like MultiVersus. And so I don't know, I think this character really does need to make it in. I don't think they're Warner Brothers though, and so the licensing might be a bit of an issue, but hopefully they can make it happen, because this character by far has like the most support behind him when it comes to like characters they want to see in MultiVersus. Like this Twitter page I think has like 20,000 followers at this point, so definitely is creating quite a following, and I definitely think it could happen. Just Vibe says that Aku from Samurai Jack should be in this game, and Aku would be a really interesting character to see in this game. I'm not really sure how he would work at all. I mean, he can shapeshift himself into like smaller versions, and so they could pretty much just make him like whatever character they want to make him. But I mean, Aku's like gigantic, enormous form is his most iconic form, and they did have the Iron Giant in this game, and so I think it'd be really interesting to have Aku be in his gigantic form and kind of seeing how that plays out, but it'd be really difficult to make work. And so there's always a backup option, just making him like shrink down to a normal size and just fighting that way. But either way, Aku is a legendary villain. Would love to see him in this game. He is just amazing, and they definitely need to insert that voice clip of him saying, you know, extra thick. AZP says that this guy who is an elf needs to make it into this game, and so I think I might have seen this movie, but back when I was like a child, so I have no recollection of it whatsoever. But I think an elf in general would be a really interesting character to have in this game. Definitely could be like a mage kind of character with like all the things that they do in terms of like making toys and stuff, and so it could be interesting. Definitely would be a nice little Christmas edition. I don't really have much else to say about this, unfortunately. Jesus here saying, an interesting character came to my head, such as Spike from Tom and Jerry, because he always wailed on Tom. Spike is such a hilarious character. I'd love to see him in this game. I kind of not sure if they would actually put Spike into this game, just because he's not like, I mean, he is one of the most prominent characters of Tom and Jerry, but in terms of like the entire Warner Brothers like universe, he's definitely not up there. But nonetheless, it'd be really cool, and it'd be nice to have like a really like tough bruiser dog come into the game. I think that'd be really cool. Ryan from Twitter is saying Marceline from Adventure Time. Marceline is definitely a must-have character for this game. Marceline is one of the most badass characters to come out of Adventure Time, and her focus on music in particular would make for like a really interesting moveset. I just think she could be like a Lucy Liu kind of like character in terms of like all the magical things that she could do and all the dark like magic she can infuse into the game. It'd be really awesome to see, and I don't know, I can't even imagine what Marceline would be like, but definitely if they're gonna choose another character from Adventure Time, I think Marceline is definitely the next one in line. I mean, as much as I want to see the Ice King, I think Marceline just kind of beats him out a little bit, unfortunately. Acme Ambrose says Ben 10 is my most wanted. I mean, like, Ben 10 is definitely an obvious choice for this game. I definitely can see Ben 10 coming to this game one way or another. However, in terms of like how Ben 10 is actually implemented, that's definitely the bigger question. I actually think what they should do is that they should make like 2 versions of Ben 10. So they should do like the original Ben 10 that came from the original show, and they should also do like a grown-up teenage Ben 10, and each Ben 10 would have like their own aliens that they can shuffle through. So like the original Ben 10 could do like Heat Blast, Accelerate, Cannonballs, etc., while like the teenage Ben 10 could do like Jet Ray, Chroma Stone, you know, all those like aliens that got introduced later on in the show's history. And so definitely would love to see something like that. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see when Ben 10 finally gets into this game how they actually incorporate him, because it's gonna be a really interesting time, I gotta say. Diane here is saying Popeye would be lit. Oh my god, Popeye was like one of the first cartoons I've ever watched actually, and so Popeye would just be really cool. Definitely could see him as like a bruiser kind of character, and definitely could see him just like eating spinach all around the arena and such, and just really pounding it in on characters. I'm not really sure how likely he is to get into this game. I feel like Popeye is kind of like died down in terms of hype, but definitely would love to see him in this game nonetheless. Andres TM says to have Finn and Jake in Steven Universe but not Mordecai Rigby is so disrespectful. I agree 10,000%. I really think Mordecai Rigby desperately need to be in this game. I'm not sure what the holdup is, unfortunately, but they definitely need to be. I mean, Tony has stated multiple times that he wants to see Mordecai Rigby in this game, much more so than other characters that have been suggested to him, and so as long as everything works out from like a licensing standpoint, I definitely see Mordecai Rigby making into this game, but we'll just have to see. Andrew Scott said Johnny Test. Johnny Test is awesome. Another like amazing Cartoon Network character. I think he'd be really cool because of all the different gadgets his sisters would provide for him, and so it'd be really interesting because you can kind of make Johnny Test do pretty much anything because of all the things that he does in the show thanks to his sister's inventions. And so I really don't know how they would make him as a character, but I think it'd be really cool nonetheless. Jesus Hira says Sheldon Cooper. Okay, gotta admit, that's definitely not a character I had in my mind for MultiVersus. However, I think that'd be such an amazing choice. Sheldon Cooper is obviously a character that has a lot of like widespread appeal and definitely would turn a lot of heads in terms of like casual players. And so I think Sheldon Cooper could definitely be a really great character, especially since he's very intelligent. And so obviously he could make a bunch of like different devices. Could be like a Rick Sanchez kind of character, but also like, I don't know, they could do a lot of like weird things with him, like referencing things such as like the Soft Kitty song, or, you know, the fact that he only sits in like that one seat in the couch. You know, they could definitely have a lot of fun with him. So I don't know how likely he is to get into this game, but would love to see it. And MultiVersus Leak says I would love Invincible even though he isn't Warner Brothers. Invincible is definitely a really cool idea for a character. Would definitely love to see him in here. I actually really need to catch that show. I don't have Amazon Prime yet, so haven't been able to watch that show, but it looks amazing. All the memes surrounding it are absolutely hilarious, and so would love to see it one day. But yeah, Invincible would definitely be a really cool choice. It would be a very fitting third-party character in particular, actually, just because like he is a superhero, so he would fit right in with all the DC characters. Would definitely love to see him in here. And that is all 20 characters that I collected so far. So let me know if there are any of these characters that you really enjoyed, or there's any characters you want to see in MultiVersus in the future that I did not list over here. I think depending on like how successful this video is, I'll do another one of these, and so definitely keep an eye out, because if I do another one of these, then I'll submit like a community post or tweet something out, and then give you all a chance to like have your own comments mentioned in this video. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep an eye out for that, or follow me on Twitter if you want to keep an eye out for that as well. And so yeah, I'm gonna send this to Tony, and then we'll see if he responds, and if he does, then I'll definitely let you all know. But alright y'all, thank y'all so much. This is Riders, riding out.